and it's a very important topic that we are dealing with, is the topic of demand. When it's all said and done, demand is what determines whether it's a business that we're trying to run or it's a science project. And it's the reason why we want to dig into that today. As we talk about gas, infrastructure, supply, and all the different things that we have covered in the course of this stakeholder session, I think this is a fitting conversation to have as a final conversation. We stand on existing protocols, so I'm just going to get into it. Welcome, Transit, SNG, NIPCO, and GLNG. And as I was saying, this demand is critical because if we don't have this conversation, eventually we are all fighting over the same narrow set of customers. Yeah? And we're really just cannibalizing one. Somebody is supplying natural gas, it's not very reliable. Somebody else goes to supply LNG or CNG, same customers. And one of the things that I've started saying recently is that a country like Nigeria that has this much gas has to be in a hurry to monetize it. If you are sitting on 215 TCF, my new mantra is that go big or go home. And if you are going big, you go big fast. Because as they used to say, it is not because stones no longer exist that Stone Age ended. And so sooner or later, things would happen that would make what we are sitting on as a precious resource, to not be as valuable as it needs to be. So we need to be in a hurry, and I think that's one of the reasons why we are discussing demand. And I'm going to start with SNG. And the question I want to ask is, what does expanding new demand frontiers mean in practical terms today? And where do you see the most immediate opportunities for gas demand growth, at least for your business? Brilliant work that you guys have done so far in the Agbara area, but where do you see that new expanding frontiers of demand specifically in your own business or in general as a participant in this sector? And where do you see the most immediate opportunities for demand growth?
Thank you very much for that question. I like that. When you say frontier, it just reminds me of the, I don't know if anyone used to watch that program, To Boldly Go Where No Man Has Gone Before. I think it was Star Trek. Yeah. I think for us, where we see as the viable areas of new demand are the areas where we don't currently have gas. And we know that there is demand there, but the infrastructure has not caught up with the demand. We're looking at the corridor into the northern part of the country. The West, in my view, has, the demand centers of the western, whether it's Agbara, whether it's Abeokuta, whether it's Shagamu, all the way down. We already have viable demand centers there. But a center that it's growing, and I'm glad that the AKK is here to unlock that demand from demand to actual potential, is a northern corridor, all the way through Kogi, Abuja, Kano, Kaduna, Niger State. Benue is a food belt. There is potential for us to have that agro-processing around that corridor. The eastern part of the country is largely overlooked. Absolutely. Now, the eastern part of the country is a part that's dear to my heart. These are Nigerian businessmen, sometimes one-man businessmen. They're resilient, they are committed. And I can tell you today that even the customers I have, they pay for their gas, they don't owe. Even as minimal as 0.03 million scoff a day, they actually pay. So these are the areas, Inewi, Enugu, Anambra, Delta State. These are potential areas, new frontiers, that for me will drive the next gas revolution for the country.
Awesome, awesome. I hear new frontiers, northern Nigeria, and one of the interesting things is that Nigeria has a lot of land, and 34 million of it is arable land that we can feed all of Africa and feed part of the world, even if it's only agriculture we are focusing on. And there is a lot more that can happen. So it's definitely I would agree with you that looking in that direction would be a new frontier. I would go to transit gas now. Gas demand has been concentrated around limited number of industrial clusters, like I said earlier, and sometimes we are really just cannibalizing, demand, all of it in the same area. What structural or market shifts are driving expansion into new customer segments and location? From your viewpoint, you are part of an infrastructure organization that has been doing things, incredible things. What do you see as moving beyond these areas of concentration of demand? What are the structural market shifts that are driving expansion into new customer segments and location?
Absolutely. The question you asked, the response from Shell Nigeria is actually similar to this same question. There are drivers to industrialization where we don't currently have a pipeline system operating. For example, I will give an example of our Transit Gas Nigeria Limited. As far back as 2018, there wasn't any pipeline system within the Shagamu interchange going forward to Benin corridor. But a customer came knocking in the person of Right Foods Nigeria Limited, and which happened to be our anchor customer eventually, to say, can you deliver pipeline system to us? It was currently at that time using CNG, and we said, why not? And then we went into feasibility study to see the closest pipeline system to that corridor. And we were able to identify the EPS along the Ibefun axis. Yeah. Today, we started in 2018 with construction of 19-kilometer pipeline system to Right Food Nigeria Limited. But I tell you today that we have grown to over 75-kilometer pipeline system. Wow. With city gate of 150 million scope per day capacity at Ibefun. What drove that? From the initial 19-kilometer pipeline system to over 75-kilometer, to the extent that a city gate, which serves as the distribution or supply up to the entire network, was situated at Ibefun. What drove it? One is the availability of transit gas pipeline to the anchor customer. So as soon as interested industrialists discovered that the pipeline was there, they kept coming, knocking the door that, how do you expand this from, from Right Food down to them? And that's why we're able to achieve the feat that we have achieved currently today. So in summary, I would say what can drive that is just the initial bold step to develop a pipeline system just to one customer. You'll be surprised. It will attract others.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Transit. And what I hear is that, yes, a customer came to you and you used them as anchor. But I'll flip that on his head that increasingly, businesses like yours on this table, we will need to be more entrepreneurial, where we are the ones triggering those demands. To say, we're going to have something, you come, and to be able to open those new frontiers. And to green LNG, again, brilliant project that you have done. We know that in that Ajaokuta area, there are about 4 or 5 LNG that are being planned. And so congratulations that yours is live. And we have just seen real-life success stories from your organizations across the table, and specifically this question directed to green LNG. Beyond what was shown in the video, for you specifically, what were the key execution decisions or the partnerships? You talked about some of them, but we'd like you to drill in a little bit. And the risks that you have had to manage to make this outcome possible. Again, like I said, there are about 4 or 5 in that your zone, but you seem to be pulling ahead, in that area. So if you can jump in, I will appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your question. Just to correct, our project is not in Ajaokuta, it is in Abeokuta, Ogun State. So okay. Those 5 competitors are no more. So okay. We are in standalone, but on a serious note, yes, we have done this project, and the challenges, like you said, we did it in one of the toughest time when Forex gone from 370 to 1700, and interest rate were moving like stock market every day up and down. But we have gone through and we have completed the project. Now we are producing. Risk, see, in LNG, risk is, I would say it's more than risk, it is the opportunity. Okay, because what our friends Axela and SNG are doing, they are building the pipelines, which takes time. So we are in virtual pipeline, we are a player who is enabling the gas users. So anywhere we go, we create the ecosystem for gas users. So for example, in Kano or Kaduna, today if there is no pipeline right now as we speak, we go with LNG. A customer industry can start with the project with LNG. And then later on pipeline follow, and this continues. Africa's biggest country by population is Nigeria and fastest growing. So you need gas. And there's a lot of demand because of obvious reason. What is the alternate fuel? Alternate fuel is diesel, which is at around 1800. So it's no brainer. So that is how we are supporting the ecosystem via virtual pipeline.
Okay, so thank you very much. What I hear is that you then create the infrastructure that goes to trigger the demand ahead of all the more longer term pipeline and all the other infrastructure that would be coming. Again, thank you for the correction around the Abeokuta instead of Ajaokuta. Let me go to NIPCO. How are CNG and virtual pipeline solutions practically enabling access to gas in areas outside of existing pipeline infrastructure? And what has been the most challenging issues that you've seen with respect to scaling that solution? Because again, you've done very well, with that when most people didn't think of it too much. So what can you share in terms of just enabling demand in a way that is unique and blue sky?
Okay, thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Achille, and I'm proud to say that if you talk about O2 CNG or mobility CNG, NIPCO actually brought it to Nigeria in 2008. We brought it, we saw the light. In fact, there was no light at the tunnel. In fact, there was no tunnel in the first place. But we made that huge investment in Benin, and we scaled that up. Now, talking about places where there are no pipeline infrastructure, what do? For the mobility CNG, we built what is called a data booster station, a DBS. And this data booster station, of course, these are high capex projects. In as much as we don't really see the mobility aspect of CNG as business, we see it as a way of giving back to the society. So we went huge, invested in data booster station in different parts of the country, and we have been servicing this data booster station from our mother station. And the aim is to ensure that Nigerians have access to this mobility CNG. So the solution we deployed for areas where there are no pipeline infrastructure is to build a data booster station. Thank you.
Okay, that's awesome, awesome. And let me quickly go to the second round of my conversations with this. So essentially what we are hearing is that these organizations figure out a way to either create the demand or create the necessary conditions for people that carry the demand to show up, including going to places that ordinarily are stranded, if you would consider that in the ordinary sense of it. And what we want to talk about, to the extent that we are having conversation around what are the next frontiers? How do we ensure that people that in a way are excluded from that gas advantage today, they come into it? Because Nigeria is large, 230 million or 220, and my own number is the 215 that I carry. And therefore, if you are in a hurry to monetize all of that, you should then be thinking about where are the big takers. And so let me just start from, if you don't mind, NIPCO again. What factors are currently driving the businesses to switch from diesel and other conventional fuels to natural gas, and what are the main barriers to adoption that still exist? I know you talked about diesel, and some people have talked about diesel, but what are the others? And the reason I would ask that is that I was in the gas industry when we were struggling with diesel cartel, way back. But maybe that's no longer the issue. I know that's no longer the issue because I'm still there. But, what are you seeing? What barriers still exist, to be able to deal with that today, if you don't mind?
Okay, thank you very much for this question. Now, all the conversation we've been having regarding natural gas distribution, either be through pipeline or through CNG, virtual pipeline, is, you asked the question, you said, what are those drivers? Number one, of course, pricing. When the federal government removed subsidy on PMS and AGO, so it's natural for people to look for alternative.
Indeed.
Today, CNG is sold at modern stations for 380 per SCM. If you put it side by side with diesel, of course, the difference is much. That is one. Secondly, even from the maintenance and operations of, truck heads. I was having a conversation with someone, and he was telling me that he's going to change the entire truck head he has from diesel to CNG. And his problem was not even the pricing. He said his truck head keep having issues. What happened? The drivers, some of the bad guys, not all of them, they will go and sell the good diesel and later replace it with the bad one. And the truck head keep damaging. So you can see that even from the operational perspective, there's a drive towards natural gas. Now, in terms of challenges which you asked for, you see, it's good we gather here, have this conversation surrounding natural gas distribution and all, either gas to power, mobility, and all. But one thing is at the center of it all, which is the construction and operation of a pipeline infrastructure. That is the center of it all. Without, my brother in Axela said that they wanted to extend to a customer. That's possible because there was an existing infrastructure in that corridor. Now, coming to today, as per PIA brought a new licensing regime. PIA 2021 brought a new licensing regime that talks about gas distribution license. Now, I'm coming to the challenges now. Now, for you to construct a natural gas pipeline, you require what is called a gas distribution license, which is issued by NMDPRA. Now, that natural gas distribution license is what gives you the authority to construct, maintain, and operate a pipeline within the gas distribution zone. Now, for us, we won 4 out of the 10 GDL that was constructed, and that gives investor confidence. But it's unfortunate that some of this GDL, we cannot proceed with construction of pipeline infrastructure, even after having all the prerequisite licenses from NMDPRA. So one of the biggest challenge, which I think should be a take-home, is that the sanctity of GDL, the sanctity of PIA must be respected if we must move from where we are today to where we need to be as a country in terms of distribution. Now, with the value we have as deposit, it's fantastic. But for that value to be significantly used, GDL, which gives approval to construct a pipeline, which gives investor confidence that, okay, go and construct this pipeline in this local distribution zone, own it, operate it for 25 years, that gives everybody that confidence to, of course, pipeline infrastructure, they are high capex projects.
Indeed.
So that sanctity of that GDL must be respected by all stakeholders, be it federal government, be it state government, be it business partners. All stakeholders must ensure that this sanctity of that GDL is respected. And once that is done, I can guarantee you that Nigeria will be in a talk with natural gas infrastructure, which will lead to the growth in terms of the prosperity of gas we're discussing. Thank you.
Awesome, awesome. Sanctity of contract, just respect for what makes businesses work in a capitalist economy. Let me run to transit gas. States like Ogun State and Lagos states have emerged as major industrial and manufacturing hubs. I'll probably add Abia State because of SNG and what incredible work you guys are doing in Aba area. What lessons from these markets can we replicate? Because as much as virtual pipelines can do wonders and they can open markets, the real big takers from my own world to ensure that we monetize the 215 as quickly as possible, would have to happen through pipelines. So what transferable lessons can other regions, outside of Lagos and Ogun and the Abia that I talked about, what can we take to those to unlock the kinds of demand that has made those states, destinations for manufacturers?
In responding to that, I would like to start with number one.
Okay. Yeah.
We must take the first initiative.
Okay.
Yeah. Learning from our stride in Ogun State, in particular Transit Gas Nigeria Limited. If we had not taken that first initiative, we wouldn't have been where we are today. That's number one. Pushing that further, explore initiative in execution. And I will support that with an example. When we were developing the pipeline to Right Food wanted the pipeline in 3 months, 19 kilometers. Prior, we've been discussing, so we were able to get the pipes in due time. However, the city gate we plan to develop, for him as the anchor customer wouldn't come in the next 6 months. So how did we go about that? Initiative in execution. We have never used CNG PRMS to supply natural gas pipeline. Prior, that was the first. We were just brainstorming, and then we said, we could use CNG. Why can't we use CNG? CNG absorbs 250 barge, and Right Food is needing 19 barge. What's the pressure of HEPS? HEPS between 40 and 70 bar. So what CNG could actually absorb, as inlet pressure, is more than that. Why can't we deploy that as a stopgap in meeting the need of Right Food? Of course, even in the company there were some people that were against it. It won't work. You will create an issue. You will damage this and all that. We put it to test. We were able to convince the MD, and MD said, let's try it. And then we did. And lo and behold, it worked perfectly well.
Indeed.
And we're able to meet the timeline of, what's it called? Right Food Nigeria Limited. So number two, initiative in execution. Very important. Number three will be community embracement. I can put that under a bigger umbrella, stakeholders engagement. Because when you are bringing gas into any community, be rest assured that some people will kick against you. Yeah, that you want to burn the entire community, you want to do this and all that. So you will need to ensure that you put a framework in place whereby you will educate the community on the benefit of the gas that you are bringing, and the safety concern that they are expressing has been taken care of in the design, construction, and the operation of the pipeline system. If I will add that proactive regulators engagement, because regulators can actually be a stumbling block to, progressing or expanding the pipeline system if they are not proactively engaged, from the beginning. Let me stop there. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Transit. What I hear is that to replicate some of the successes in these states, take the plunge. If you are one of those that are thinking of doing this, take the plunge. Hopefully there's patient capital behind you. And then engage both regulators and communities and go do what you got to do. Because ultimately, once you take that plunge, then all the other things would follow. I will come to SNG just to say, in terms of the industrial customers, industrial users that we have traditionally targeted, especially those of you that have done pipeline business, which other sectors do you see driving the next wave of demand growth in Nigeria? Just generally across Nigeria, which sectors do you see as the next wave, of the demand that, developers here or, people that are interested in doing this, they should be thinking about?
So I will start with the very core one, as we can see all the power issues we're having, and that is gas to power, whether it is embedded power or the main power, because essentially what people really need is energy. It's not necessarily gas for gas sake, but it is energy to power the needs, but reliable, competitive energy. So that gas to power is a frontier, embedded power, IPPs, industrial clusters, industrial areas that are utilizing and using gas. The methanol industry, gas-based industries, they also drive a major usage, up to 150 million scoff a day. As we go in the mining sector, that is going to drive demand, particularly in the northern part of the country. Indeed. They are high energy users. We're looking at data centers. Honorable Commissioner mentioned that a data center is already taking 1 gigawatt, which is already one of the 6 that they're looking for in Lagos State. Multiply that across the country. That is also another major source. Processing for agricultural manufacturers. But let me just say that this will not be possible without a regime where we have a fair, a competitive licensing regime. One that we don't have a cowboy approach to gas distribution. We look at the following: lay down gas processes, lay down processes by law. The PIA would only work if we activate those regulations, we follow the law, the letter of the law, in order to enable that, and we have a fair and competitive market-driven approach to licensing and regulation. Thank you.
Awesome, awesome. And let me take my final question for green LNG. You recently launched your LNG distribution project. What market gaps or opportunity did you identify that gave you the confidence to do what you did? And what demand trends are you starting to see in the sectors that you want to serve? Because obviously you did talk about doing what you have done and then expanding that. What do you see?
Yeah, thank you so much. So first of all, what we are doing, see, like we have already discussed, that pipeline takes time to reach to a particular location. Even in virtual pipeline, if it is CNG, there is a distance limitation. You cannot go beyond 300 kilometers. But when we did LNG, the mindset was very clear. We have to take LNG to every corner of Nigeria. Pipeline will take time. Yes, it will be there. We all know it will be there, but it will take time. So our job is to take LNG to the farthest corner of Nigeria, whether it is Maiduguri or Jamfara, whatever it is. We have to take LNG. That gives us the confidence to build up the LNG project. And the new demand, what we see is there's a lot of demand in auto CNG, auto LNG. So if you see now, today we are seeing even gas is available for vehicles in Kano, Kaduna, and I'm hearing there's another partner who's working to open Maiduguri. So all this is a new demand sector coming up. Madam already pointed about the data centers. Then another sector which is about to open in Nigeria will be domestic LNG. What I mean domestic LNG is by using gas, natural gas, instead of LPG in your household. So today in your kitchen you are using LPG. It can be easily replaced with natural gas, and that is where we are going to. But yeah, one step at a time. So we have started with LNG and we are doing more expansions. So first we take it to the farthest corners of Nigeria, and then we move to the other growth drivers like auto and household LPG replacement.
Awesome. Thank you very much. As I said, I know we are the ones standing between you and lunch. And so I'm just going to ask all the panelists my final question here. If you could recommend one decisive policy or an investment or an industrial action that would significantly accelerate gas commercialization and demand growth in Nigeria, what would it be? So I will start from, from you. Yeah, sorry.
I think it is really ensuring that we move to a commercially market-driven environment, one that ensures that the producers get their due, the midstream gets their due, we can actually have viable transporters, whether it's pipeline transportation, whether it's virtual transportation, but it's just that commercially driven mindset. The guys we will get paid for giving gas to the power sector. So just that willing buyer, willing seller, commercially driven, which is anchored, again, like I would say, on a transparent, fair, open, due process system.
Indeed. Indeed. Please go for it.
Okay, thank you very much. Mine is simple and straightforward. The oil and gas sector is regulated by the PIA. So the sanctity of the PIA should be respected. If it's not, it's going to be story upon story. But when the sanctity of PIA is respected, for instance, with regards to the GDL, for me to bring my money to construct a pipeline infrastructure, then I should be assured that my investment is protected. I should be assured that the PIA will not be diluted. So, very simple. Everyone should respect the PIA. All stakeholders, federal, state, local government, partners. Thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Please go on.
For me, it is more about the pricing harmonization among the players. All players in same field should get the same pricing.
Okay. That's feedstock, I would imagine.
Yeah. I think I will submit on continued regulatory support, right? Continued regulatory support, particularly to the distributors. And my focus will be enforcement of existing policies within, the space. Yeah, that will be that for me. Continued regulatory support, in particular through enforcement of policies existing.
Thank you very much. And thank you, everyone. I think our biggest takeaway here today is that many of the people in the room and some of you here as well have a sense of where that demand for the next wave in Nigeria is. Lagos State talked a lot about it, and there are many, many states that are starting to set up their own electricity markets. And indeed, what has become if you will, a mantra across all of my panelists is enforcement and sanctity of contracts. Just to say respect it, because that respect encourages people that are funding them, people that are standing behind them, all of the partners they are pulling together to take the risks that they need to take to go into markets in some cases that are unproven. That seems to be a common theme. And generally, all of the new demand areas from data centers to somebody talked about cooking and all the GBIs and all the new distribution centers, gas distribution zones that need to be enabled, especially with the pipelines that are coming up or that are already up, OB3 and AKK. I think generally there is a consensus that Nigeria has and can trigger the demand that will help us monetize, a lot of our 215, and then prepare us to be able to do things that then take, gas outside to help us, bring the subsurface resource into development above ground. And so I want to thank everyone once again for your brilliant, presentations. And I think this is where, Suji, where are you?
Right beside you.
Awesome.
Right beside you.
Let's go for it.
Thank you very much. Okay, so can I take one quick question for them? Just one. Any takers? If there's none, we'll thank them for their contributions. We'll have a question. Okay. You tell us your name and your affiliation and tell us who your question is meant for. And let's be concise about it. Thank you.
Yeah, my name is Wilfred and I work for... Okay. My name is Wilfred and I work for EcoFarm Energy. I want to understand what's your insights regarding the Lagos-Abidjan Economic Corridor or West African markets. Thank you.
Well, I would say any volunteer, since it's not pointing it to anyone, do you want to go for it, SNG?
That is a viable market. Badagry is the gateway to the rest of West Africa, and getting a hub in Badagry will feed Lome, Abidjan, and the rest of it. And we already have a pipeline going. There's just a collaboration which NNPC can anchor, and we can take gas on the WACP. I mean, if that's viable. So it is a very viable, and in fact, I would go as far as saying we don't need to go to Abidjan, but Badagry is the future of Lagos State. It's got the port for LNG. It's got Agbara, which is right next door to it. It's got all of the other corridors, and we can do this right there.
Awesome.
Okay, so since that was for everybody, any specific questions for our panelists? For any one of them? Any other questions? In the absence of that, can we please give them a round of applause? Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. And please rise for a family photo. Please rise for a family photo. Thank you for your contributions, and thank you to all of our speakers for today's sessions. We appreciate all of your insight, sharing with us what a success story is, what is happening. I'm sure from all those stories, all these experiences shared, Lagos State government will definitely be walking away here better equipped to kickstart the partnership they've gone into with GACN.